Hi Danny, Grace and Jude, this is SET. So this is how to stay in target using continuous glucose monitoring and obviously key lifestyle information. So some of the information you'll need from the foundations videos are: why is it that insulin works so slowly compared to people without diabetes? And why is that activity so effective in bringing glucose levels down? I'm going to summarize this for you here, but it's worth going over the foundations to do that. So how SET works, S-E-T. The first is S, you need to start the insulin before eating. Because we've discussed people with type 1 diabetes take the insulin into the fat tissue, it gets into the bloodstream, takes a little bit quite a while to get absorbed, but it doesn't end up going in the portal vein. That blood vessel that takes the nutrients from your digestive tract to your liver, and therefore it misses the opportunity to store lots of glucose in the liver. Whereas people without type 1 diabetes, their pancreas drops insulin directly into that portal vein. Therefore, when the food gets eaten, the glucose goes into the portal vein, insulin grabs it, puts it into the liver, and therefore stops it getting out into the bloodstream. People with type 1 diabetes miss that opportunity because the insulin doesn't go into the portal vein, it goes out into the outside blood system. So unfortunately, it doesn't work nowhere near as effectively as it does from the pancreas. That's why you have to give insulin a head start so that it gets absorbed in time, and that also it catches the glucose as it gets out into the bloodstream and puts it into the muscle cells. So depending on where the glucose level is and the arrow on your CGM, so these are the suggestions on how soon before a meal to give the insulin. So for example, if I was 8 with an arrow trending up, I would need to make sure the insulin was given 25 minutes before to make sure plenty of insulin is circulating in the bloodstream, so when that meal gets eaten and the glucose goes in, you can see therefore it will be used very effectively. If you were much higher, say 13 or sort of 235 milligrams per deciliter with a straight arrow going up, I would need to give the insulin 40 minutes because you want to give plenty of insulin, give a head start so it can start to bring the glucose level down before it starts to go up again from the meal. Otherwise you're going to have a high glucose level for some time. Hopefully if you're using GAIN before this, you'll never be in a situation where you're 14 and trending up in the first place, but just in case you are. So give the insulin before eating, depending on the glucose value and the trend arrow. Then the other key thing is, as we discussed in the foundations, balanced meals. 3 balanced meals is absolutely key. Half a plate of veg, quarter of carbs, quarter of protein, and therefore you're going to give the food's going to be getting in and digested at a nice slow pace, which works at how insulin works over 4 hours. And then ideally what you want to do is 10 minutes of activity afterwards, because as we've discussed in game, when you're active, I'm not talking about full exercise, playing outside. So Grace and Jude will go out and play on the drive, go back in back garden, play on the trampoline. It just gives that insulin that you've given chance to get pushed around the body with the blood to all the muscle cells to allow the insulin to work more effectively. And this is what it looks like. If you can keep to 3 balanced meals, the glucose going into the blood is matched perfectly by the insulin and the extra effect of the activity 3 times a day, you'll get a glucose level which looks like this, pretty much bang on in target all the time. Obviously, you're not going to eat like this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You're going to enjoy a pizza. You're going to enjoy Cocoa Pops occasionally. But what it's talking 80-90% of the time, it needs to be 3 balanced meals, insulin before eating, and then 10 minutes of activity afterwards. That'll prevent the need to do much of the game stuff of high knees, and hopefully you won't need to do too much preventing hypos because the insulin will match nicely with the food. So that's SET in action. I've done a video for you now of us doing this at home. Hope you enjoy it.